and welcome to Promo Insiders, an ASI media podcast that covers the issues that matter most to the promotional products industry. I'm Hannah Rosenberger with ASI, and today I'm so excited to be joined by Counselor's 2025 Women of Distinction, Mandi Rudd. Mandi is Director of New Markets at Genumark, but outside of her day-to-day work at the distributor, she also has a particular dedication to service and giving back. From her work with industry nonprofit Promo Cares, to her hours spent executing Kansas City's annual Big Slick fundraiser to raise money for Children's Mercy Hospital, to her love of all of our furry friends. Congratulations again, Mandi, on receiving our 2025 Woman of Distinction Counselor Award, and thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much. I still have imposter syndrome, and think when Tim called me, I thought it was Alan Funt. Okay, or what's his name on the show, Punked, for those that have no idea who Alan Funt is, because I just aged myself. So thank you. I still can't believe it myself. That's, I guess, my way of saying that. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just kind of get into it a little bit here. Let's talk promo to start. For any of our listeners that might not know you, can you tell me a little bit about how you got started in the promo industry and ultimately how you ended up at Genumark?
Yeah. So I have always had a sales career in advertising and marketing. I sold radio advertising. I was with America Online back in the day, and like I said, radio advertising and internet. And when my son was off to the mean streets of preschool, I had been fortunate to stay at home with him from when he was born until it was time to go to school. And I thought, okay, I need to do something, but I still need to be accessible for school hours. And so, being the entrepreneur that I am, I started a little company and did pantries and playroom and kitchen organizing. But at the same time, I was approached by a friend who had her own distributorship. We were living in Denver, and she asked if I wanted to do contract sales. And going back to my radio days, the prize closet, I knew exactly what she was talking about. And of course, I've always loved branded merch. So I jumped at the chance. And so I just did contract sales for a couple of years. Then moved back to Kansas City in 2013. And for multiple reasons, it made the most sense for me to look at doing my own thing. So I opened up my own distributorship. I thought, okay, I have supplier relationships. I can have my accountant on speed dial for questions I'm not aware of on the billing side, and opened up my own distributorship and had that successful. And for 10 years, I was able to be the room mom and go on all the field trips and everything with my son. So it did everything that I needed it to do. And I could have continued for, another several more decades. When I learned that Genumark was looking to open offices in the United States. And so knowing what an incredible family the Freeds are, knowing the leadership team, the ethics of the company, being certified B Corp, and learning more about how important it is to be a part of your community, I thought, gosh, this is a really incredible opportunity, because no right-minded business owner decides to go work for someone else just because. And that, I think, says all you need to know about how great Genumark is and how Mitch and Mark Freed run the company. And working with some amazing team members and our US team. It was kind of a when do I sign up, and oh my gosh, I really do get to work here moment again. So yeah, I've been there. January will be 2 years. So it's crazy. Time flies.
Yeah. I know kind of that sustainability has become, a big thing for you, both working in the industry and kind of just more broadly. Can you tell me a little bit about why that's so important to you, and say a little bit more about how Genumark's kind of B Corp status affected your transition out of owning your own business?
Yeah, when it was my company, I had the choice to, I guess, say no to certain projects if it was something I was not comfortable with doing. So whether it was bottled water or, stress balls or other products that, unfortunately, our industry is very sometimes not earth friendly with a lot of the products that we use or the processes that we use to decorate. And knowing that to become a certified B corporation company, there are many strongholds. The process to do it is not easy. And so to have that commitment to sustainability, again, it was another box that checked the importance of working together and why I wanted to work at Genumark. So with my, being on the board of Promo Cares, we focus on being the megaphone for good within the industry. So whether that is about practices and sustainability and CSR and all of that, as well as using products to help others in a give back sort of way. So that's another part of you mentioned earlier, that is another part of who I am and what I do on my daily life. So to be able to marry my daily life and my work life with things that I'm passionate about, to me, that is a richness beyond economics, and just makes the workday that much more fun. And on top of the fact that we have a very fun industry. So
Yeah,
fulfilling, I guess. Fulfilling over fun, I guess.
Maybe a little bit of both, depending on what you're working
Yes.
on that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you just said, I do think that service, based on some conversations that I had with some of your industry friends, one of the biggest things that those who know you like associate you with service. So how did that become such a big part of your life, both personally and kind of professionally, as you said, with your work within the industry now?
I would say, I mean, my parents and my brother and I have always had the mindset of, if you're able to help somebody, you should just do it. And it doesn't have to be, whether it's your time, your talent, or your treasure. There's that saying, a ripple effect. One little act has a very large ripple effect. Just by holding the door open for someone, that's something so easy and free and simple and polite, and you should just do it because it's the right thing. All the way to volunteering for an event, or a nonprofit, or if you have the means financially or with items that you can donate that will help others. I just feel like it's incumbent upon every single one of us to do something to make the world a better place. And it starts with kindness, generosity, and helping others. So it's just been ingrained into my family, whether, I go back to, the sign that I saw that said free puppies, and obviously they needed help. So I, of course, took the puppies home. Like, well, we needed to help them. I'm in elementary school, and first of all, my parents were like, okay, well, where did you get these puppies? And like, well, they needed help. And then they narrowed it down and realized there was a free puppies sign. So that sort of harvested my my growth toward animal rescue work. And my dad was the biggest softie for animals and helping. And so it just, I guess the short answer has just been ingrained into my brother and I our entire lives. So from our parents.
Yeah. As I mentioned up top, two of the organizations you're most heavily involved with today are Promo Cares, and then your annual Big Slick fundraiser out in Kansas City. You talked a little bit about Promo Cares already, but tell me a little bit more about your work with those two organizations and how they became so important to you.
They are two opposite ends of the spectrum, but the commonality is that it's to help others. Mm-hmm. So for Promo Cares, we have created, like I said, we started out as the For Good initiative, or I'm sorry, we started out as a megaphone for good, just to kind of highlight the things that are going on within the industry, and sharing information and best practices. We have now, over the years, created an arm of our group called the For Good initiative. So we are in our second or third year now, just launching our third year of Water for Good. And the idea is that we partner with Planet Water Foundation to build aqua towers in underserved communities or as a response to a natural disaster. And we do that through our relationships with our fellow distributors and supplier partners and business service providers. And the crux of it is, it all stems from branded merch, whether it is a give back based on the purchase of it or a percentage donation from funds raised. All the money goes toward Planet Water Foundation to, like I said, build these aqua towers. So using the power of merch to help others. And then on the Big Slick side, it's a family event, 100% volunteer run. And at the heart of what we do is a local hospital in Kansas City called Children's Mercy. It is a nonprofit hospital. It is not part of a health system. It's independently run. It also has one of the leading research facilities that is dedicated toward bloodborne illnesses, pediatric cancer, and things like that, and research. And so we get to work on it. And this hospital is a diamond in the rough. So here in Kansas City, whether you have kids or you know someone who has kids, you will know someone who has utilized the services of Children's Mercy. Everything from an X-ray from a sprained ankle to, God forbid, life-saving work. And so we put together this event one year, 16 years ago, and said, hey, let's just do a thing and let's raise some money for it. And now here we are. We just did our 16th year. And it's a Herculean effort by a lot of people that volunteer. Like I said, 100% volunteer effort. So it's a long answer, but it is, as you can see, it's just easy for me to rattle on about Nixlick and how amazing the hospital is. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And you guys had a pretty big year at your fundraiser for this year, if I remember correctly.
We did. We raised $4.5 million. Bringing our 16-year total to over $30 million. And that is incredible. For, like I said, being an all-volunteer effort. We don't have administrative fees. We don't have salaries or anything like that. So everything that we raise goes directly to the hospital. So it's, and a significant portion of that over the years has come from the sales of branded merch. So again, it's, weaving the web of my personal and professional life together. So
yeah, everything comes back to promo eventually.
It does. A lot of connective tissue there for sure.
So I guess related to, that kind of connective tissue, as you just called it, I know that you mentioned before that kind of, when you were working for your own company, you kind of had the ability to, maybe say no to projects or clients that maybe didn't quite align with what you were hoping, with your personal values. How do you think about applying kind of this mindset of, service and sustainability and giving back to kind of your everyday work in sales today?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great question, because it's not as though I just said, nope, sorry, can't do that. Gotta go. I think as, whether you're in sales or marketing, but when you represent an industry or a company, but specifically to the sales side of it, you are, for lack of a better term, you're supposed to be the expert. And it's okay to say, you know what, I can't do that, but this is what I can do. Or we don't do that, but this is what I recommend. So being that, that consultant, being that resource for your client. At Genumark, we call it, the stress exchange program, where, if our clients they've got a project or a task and they can't figure out their stress, they got to figure out, what, task me with that. Let me handle that for you. Take it off your list. And then I'm going to share with you suggestions and options based on the various criteria so that you are informed and have information to make a great decision based on whatever your criteria is. Yeah, I just kind of went off on a tangent there. But, I would say that with Genumark, having the ability to have the customer's first mindset and a community, involvement. I mean, and volunteering is very important within the walls of Genumark as well. So, we have our core, our core values, and it starts with, we commit to what our clients want. We are collaborative. We have a customer first mindset and community. And the fifth one would be certified B Corp, I guess. So, like I said, there's a lot there, and it crosses over between professional and personal, and very fulfilling. So, I don't know if I actually answered your question. I just kind of went off there.
Well, I have another.
Welcome to how my brain works, everyone.
I do think, as I'm sure you've seen over your career, I think the industry has gotten a lot better with offering, sustainable or give back products at a more affordable price point. But, unfortunately, sustainability often does come at a.
You know what?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I think to that point, one of my fellow Promo Cares board members is Denise Tescherow. And I mean, I try and, if anyone has the opportunity to ever be in her presence, you will learn something and you will be so lucky. And one of the things that she said that has stayed with me for years, and it goes back to your question of, when it was my own business, I was able to have the authority to say I can or can't do something. Within Genumark, I still have that ability to be that resource and be that consultant when it comes to sustainable pricing and things like that. There is sometimes pushback. And to quote Denise, sustainability is the price of responsibility. And it's responsibility to our one planet. It's a responsibility to the people working in the, the warehouses and the factories and everyone else. So it's a domino effect of responsibility. And it starts with us as salespeople recommending products or processes, as my Genumarkers would say. It's incumbent upon us to make those recommendations, and we can positively affect change by sharing that information and having the courage of conviction to say, you know what, I understand, the concept behind you wanting to do it with this product, but if we can accomplish those same goals by using this product or this process instead, would that make sense? Would that be a benefit? And one of the times that I have shared a very specific opportunity like that with a client, they didn't even know it was an opportunity, and they fell in love with the suggestion, and they ended up doing it repeatedly for future projects. So that's that ripple effect of just one comment, one question, one idea to affect change, one product that will affect change. So there we go. I came back to it, I think.
There we go. Do you have any favorite client examples of where you've been able to make that happen?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do. I mean, suggesting, if you're looking at drinkware, finding something or a product that has a give back, it doesn't change the price for your client's budget, but they're actually helping others with money that they were already allocating. I've told one story ad nauseum for years. I feel like a one-trick pony with it, but I had a client that requested doing bottled water. When I shared with them that we don't do that as Brand Energy Marketing, my previous company, they said, oh gosh, I've seen it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, correction. It does exist. We as a company have just chosen to really remove ourselves from that single-use plastic waste. A lot of it doesn't end up in recycling. We talked through the project, what the goals of the project were, and I shared with them a reusable drinkware with a mini Sharpie that their crew could write their names on, and it had a give back tied to the drinkware. And they were just minds blown. And like I said, they repeated that project for different programs they were doing. So they like they said, like, we didn't know that was a thing. Well, if I hadn't have said anything, now I've also sort of planted the seed for them with other things they are doing outside of merch. So I considered it a win for the planet. So, and it was a pretty great project. So from a sales perspective, it was a pretty great project. And it was cool to work on, and we got to help others. So it was good.
Yeah, like you said before, change has to start from somewhere, and where it often makes sense to start from is the people doing the selling, the people that know what they're doing.
And I would add to that, having trusted as a distributor, I will say that comes from having trusted supplier partners and multi-line rep partners. Having those relationships are critical to the growth of my personal business. I was also on the board of PPA Midwest, our PPA Regional Association, and I realized there's a little Coke and Pepsi in this moment. But going to the shows, going to ASI Chicago, going to your local events that are tied in with your industry, and having those relationships is critical to your growth and your knowledge base and the options that you have in your offerings. So, if I were to have one piece of advice for anybody in our industry, is forge those relationships with your fellow distributors, supplier partners, business service providers, and multi-line reps. I think we saw a lot of it during the pandemic where, one, we're a very huggy industry. We hug and high five a lot. But we share information and we share resources with those that might be deemed a direct competitor. And I really feel, maybe it's just the people that I surround myself with, but I have seen it, a little bit, that ripple spread further out, where we really do want to help one another grow for the betterment of our industry. And so I think that we are unique as promo people. I don't know if you see that in other industries. So.
Yeah, I guess speaking of some of those relationships here, how do you think about kind of the importance of relationships in promo, especially between industry women? I know you have a bit of a group behind you of industry ladies.
I pinch myself. I am grateful for the people that I get to work with, the people that I get to volunteer with. I always say that some of my best, my best sales material is stuff that I have picked from every single person that I have ever worked with or worked for. I am just a, cornucopia of input from those I get to surround myself with. I learn from them. I sometimes have a, little wisdom that I'll drop. Sometimes it's, impressive. Sometimes it's like, oh, I can't believe I just said that. But having a network of support around you is, talk about, again, I pinch myself. I pinch myself in my friend group. So, and the people I get to volunteer with. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Mandi, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate your time and all of your wisdom drops, as you just said. And thank you to everyone listening. To learn more about Mandi and the rest of this year's Counselor Award winners, head to asicentral.com/news. Have a great day.